microphones off. If you keep them off, then while Brent's talking, then there's no, or while the other people are talking, then it works fine.
Thank you, Gavin Cohen. That got the show started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Good for the Game TV. You're watching Thursday night's flagship show. It's the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. And as usual, I put together the top-class panel to talk you through the weekend's games. We don't have Rugby Championship to talk in detail about this week, although I would like to get the guys' opinions on the early handicaps there. Last week, of course, was absolutely massive with the Springboks beating New Zealand in Wellington. What a game that was. I mean, I know GG Gaming had a special if you back New Zealand minus 22, and there were plenty of those. You'd get your money back if the Boks either won the game or lost by 10 points or less. I'm sure there were plenty of takers on that one. And let's get straight into the action. And actually, before we just talk Currie Cup betting, Hein, let me start with you. Welcome to the show. And what did you make of that Bok win?
As Brent, no, obviously, I mean, it was great for all of South Africa, except the guys who were on the minors, especially that second half cap. We were probably still in it for a while, and then a few things went against us. So, but it was very difficult being upset about that as a South African. I mean, you would have been chuffed. So it wasn't too bad of a hit. So no, it was great stuff. And as I said in the week, I'm just glad for Rassie and the guys that the pressure's at least off of them a little bit. You know, I don't expect them to go and win the Rugby Championship or beat everybody that's in front of them. But I think it's just good for morale and good for confidence.
Certainly is. And Hendrik, what did you make of that one? I can't remember what your bets were on the game. I'm guessing you weren't on the box on the board though.
No, definitely, Brent. I didn't see that coming in a million years. But it's brilliant for South African rugby. I was on the minus handicap on New Zealand's second half handicap, and also the second half being higher scoring. But I knew at halftime that was gone because there was lots of points in the first half. But yeah, like Hein said, it's great for us and it's great for world rugby actually and South African rugby. And I think it's great for punters as well because we might get a bit of value on New Zealand in the next game.
Would you give me odds on me guessing your wife's name?
You can go.
Mariette.
Did you say it now?
Yeah, Mariette.
Brent.
I saw it pop up. I saw it pop up there where your picture normally is. I saw it pop up there. So now I won't take your money there.
Then I'm on her account probably.
Yes, I think so. And then Gavin down in Durban, he's nodding his head like a man who's just walked out of the pub after a sports trivia competition. How are you, Gav?
I'm very well, thanks, Brent. Yeah, you know, like I was just telling a mate of mine, we got to work on Monday morning. He goes, you must have backed South Africa to win that game. I said, well, I'm actually an idiot. I remember Henrik telling me that my 18-1 on Argentina the week before was a waste of money. It was in the back of my head. I nearly took the double. I've been taking it for 5 years, and I didn't touch it. I think you probably could have got anything from 60 to 100-1 on that double. South Africa winning and Argentina winning. I didn't touch the double. I just had a small play on the plus on South Africa. Obviously, the big bet for me was Argentina to win the game. But yeah, you know, like everybody, even the girls that know nothing about rugby at work, are coming into work and talking about the Springboks. So it's touched everybody. I think South Africa woke up on Sunday morning and Monday morning for that matter, and you know, it was massive, and that's the kind of thing that we need. And yeah, it's a year to go. I think it's a year today to go to the World Cup. Starts on the 20th of September next year. So yeah, it's fantastic news.
Right, well, gents, let's get into the rugby itself this weekend. We got our first game on Friday night, the Free State up against the Pumas. Some big betting moves in the week. I had Sean Nicholas actually messaging me to tell me that Bet Exchange opened 9-10 the pair. And I tried to get on the 9-10. I was actually sitting at work on my cell phone getting on, and eventually managed to get quite a nice bet on the Pumas at 8-10. I think GG Gaming or one of the other bookies were out at about plus 9.5. And Hendrik, I'll start with you because you love to get that early value. Which way did you go on GG Gaming on Monday here?
On Monday, they had it at 6.5, if I remember correctly, 6 or 7.5, and I actually took the minus. Yeah, it was 7.5. I remember now. So I took a double of the Western Province minus into this for a smaller one, and then obviously the bigger one. We're coming to that game still, but yeah. So I thought it was good value if I could get a single-digit minus on the Pumas, and then when Bet Exchange came out, I missed the 9-10. And I missed the 8-10, which you got, and I got a bit of 7-10, but they didn't allow me a lot of that. So I only have a small bet on the 7-10 at this stage on the Pumas.
I would have thought they might be welcoming your money after that Sharks Cheetahs game of a few weeks ago in Bloemfontein, but I guess they figure it could be payback time for you. And Gavin, Yourself on this one, I haven't had a chance. I've had one of those weeks ago, and I've only seen, I think, your Lions, your Sharks Lions preview. I haven't watched your others yet. What did you go for?
Yeah, Brent, I didn't get any other 9 to 10. I'm not really a Monday and Tuesday punter. I often wait for the prices to settle. In this case, I ended up taking -4.5 Pumas. I'm not massive on this particular game. It's a small play for me. I do think it's the right way to go. And I know we debated this match last year. In fact, I don't know if Henrik agreed with me last year. This was the game that I particularly had targeted for Pumas to win. And they ended up losing by 3 because obviously it was the Cheetahs B team at the time as well. And yeah, so it's a tough one. Cheetahs are difficult to read, actually, Brent, because you don't really know who's going to show up. They played well against the Sharks, or were the Sharks really that bad? And then they go to Joburg. It's 33-0 at halftime. The Lions end up winning by 33. Did the Lions take their foot off the gas in the second half? Did the Cheetahs wake up? Yeah, it's really a tough one. And in fact, this handicap's probably about right. Anywhere between 4 and 7 points. I think it's a little bit of value for the Pumas, but there's not a lot of value for me. The guys that got 9 to 10 or 8 to 10 or even 7 to 10 to win the game, probably a little bit more value than I got at -4.5. But I do think the right way to go here is the Pumas.
I'm also on the Pumas here. I just feel that they're going to put the Cheetahs away and probably just ensure that they don't finish bottom of the log. And I'm with Henrik on, if I wasn't already on the 8 to 10, I would be probably leaning towards the -6.5, but maybe not that strong.
Yes, I agree with both of them, and what Gavin said. If you got on at those prices, 8 to 10, 9 to 10, then definitely in the pound seats. I actually saw Henrik talk about the 6.5, I think, on good for the game, and I got on that and thinking that they'll probably go the other way late in the week, and then it was about 3.5 and 4.5, as Gavin says. So at 3.5 and 4.5, I would have been jumping at it. But now it's a bit less confident, and I'm a little bit less confident on that cap as well. But I think the big thing is the Cheetahs aren't getting any stronger. They're actually getting weaker with players being needed at the Pro 14. So I'm not confident at all in what they can do, and I actually think they're getting a bit worse. And I see the Pumas putting everything on the table this weekend.
Right. Well, let's move on to the big game, I guess, of the weekend from a Currie Cup perspective, and that's the Sharks versus the Lions down in Durban. And I did watch the video of the oracles on this one, so I know where he's going. And let me also ask you, Gavin, before you just give us your bet here, are you going to the game itself?
I'm 50-50 to go to the game. I know Henrik and I had the conversation a few weeks ago on one of my Monday or Tuesday shows. It's like R1,000 to go to a game for a day with 2 kids and a wife and parking and beer and everything. So, yeah, I'm 50-50. I haven't made a final decision as to whether I'm going. Probably will go. But, yeah, for me, I've got to say thank you to the Lions for absolutely playing rubbish last week, because I've now got a decent price on them. I know there was 5 to 2. We discussed that as well on Monday or Tuesday. I ended up taking the 2 to 1 on the Lions to win the game. I think it's just a little bit too big about a team that can win. The Sharks have just they've not done too much for me. I won on that game against the Bulls. I went a bigger minus on the Sharks and won comfortably. But then I was on the wrong side of the Sharks on the Cheetahs game away, and I was on the wrong side of the Sharks on the Pumas game at home. And they're just not putting teams away. So what those 3 results have told me, which I already knew as well, is the Bulls are rubbish. So, if you're going to take the Bulls into account here, yeah, you're wasting your time, because they've been the worst out of all of the teams. Amazingly, they're leading the log. I know they've played 5 games, but it's just a mind. You look at that log and you think Bulls are top. I mean, I don't know why they're at the top, but anyway, yeah. So I've got a play on the Lions to win the game. I've not even bothered with a plus here.
Right, Henrik, yourself on this one?
Brent, this one is a tough one for me. Early in the week, I actually thought that I might be staying out of this game and not even have a bet at all, because I don't rate the Lions, and the Sharks have cost me money a few weeks. I only got them right against the Bulls, the same one Gavin talked about now. But the more I've thought about it, and after seeing the Sharks team today, I like the Sharks here, and I think they can beat the handicap. I think they can actually win by double figures. The Lions' defense, lack of defense. They don't really have defense. They don't worry about defense, and I think the Sharks will be up for this game. There's also rain predicted for the game, and I like the Sharks back, and I think they will get the better of the Lions in the back So yeah, with the rain predicted, I think the Sharks that Sharks should win, and I think they can win by double figures here. And then also, yeah, I see again seconds is the ref here. It's normally over his refs, but now it's raining, so that is going to be make the points play difficult on this one.
Yeah, normally when it's raining in Durban or very humid, I normally like to look at going unders there. Just wondering, Hein Dumont, he did disappear, old couch critic. He suddenly disappeared off the show. I'm wondering if Gavin said something that maybe offended him. But I think we can safely say it was his Wi-Fi connection, because he was complaining about it before the show. Just for the record, I'm on the Sharks here as well. I think there's Sharks -4.5 available. I do like them. I haven't backed them yet, but I do fancy them at home. I just think the Lions may have hit a bit of a wobble. Very disappointed in them last week, although I didn't get to see much of the match. And for me, the Sharks here could be the play. Let's move on to the last game. And here we're looking at a big handicap, guys. And Hendrik, I'll stay with you. It's Western Province in Durban, and I've seen now -29.5. We did discuss earlier on the show there was -20 on the GG Gaming Guy Mad show. There was -24 about Province early in the week. I'm guessing you're one of those punters who pushed that -24 down from 9 to 10 to 4 to 10.
I'm not sure where it's my money, but I got on the -24.5 at 9 to 10, and I got a decent bet on. And then after that, yeah, later in the week when we saw the Springboks released from the camp, we saw four players Western Province got. So yeah, the Western Province team look good. Griquas, they haven't been good away from home, so I think Province can stump them. Yeah, I see Province winning easily by more than 30 here. And then my big play here is Western Province -12.5 half-time handicap. Province has been quick out of the blocks in the first half, and Griquas more of a second half team. And I couldn't believe I could get -12.5 first time half handicap this afternoon at Sunbet. I see it has moved to 13.5 since. But yeah, I really like the -12.5 half-time cap on Western Province here.
I must say, when Hendrik is bullish about a bet like this, then I get on as well, because I know Hendrik, I mean, like all of us, Hendrik, you have your times where you get it wrong. But often when, and Hein, I'm sure you'll agree with me, when Hendrik comes out early in the week and makes a call, he gets a lot of followers.
No, definitely, he's really spot on with spotting that early value. On the Province Griquas game, I agree with him as well. I think they should cover, and those of us that got on early on that 24-ish, that's fantastic. We're sitting pretty, and as he said, even the 29.5, they should cover that, and especially if you take that first half cap, they've been cut them out of the blocks well in most of the games, while Griquas have been the opposite. You know, they struggled to get into a game, and I actually think in this one they're probably not even going to get into it in the second half. So no, I'm definitely in agreement with him on this one. Just quickly back to the Sharks game. Sorry, I missed you guys on that one. Is that I don't think you actually needed to watch Oracle's video there, because I think we all knew he was going to go for the Lions on that one. But I think I'd be opposing him there. I think the Sharks -5.5 on the handicap is a runner, or going for the Sharks 1 to 12. I just don't see the Lions have been poor in defense, and hopefully the Sharks can do something on attack. So that's the way I'm going on those two games.
Much like none of us had any doubt about where Hendrik was going when we saw the jersey he was wearing tonight, Western Province through and through. Must say, when I was young, before betting, I used to be a big Province supporter. Now I've got to admit, and I'm not much of a supporter, although I've got to tell you guys, last week's game, I took New Zealand on the halftime handicap, so I lost my money. I didn't get too involved. I had a power failure. I was watching on my walker. But the second half, I had no monetary interest. And I must say, I felt all those old feelings of patriotism coming back. I was shouting home the Springboks. I just had that horrible feeling New Zealand were going to sneak it at the end. But somehow or other, the guys held out. And it was a massive performance. But I want to use that just to lead us into the next bit of chatter. We won't go into too much detail on it, guys, but I would like your thoughts on the early handicaps for the games next week, and perhaps even just a look ahead to the South Africa-New Zealand cap. If I have a look at the games next week, we've got, of course, Australia traveling to Argentina. And I think I saw about Australia about -7.5, -8.5. I'll just double-check that. But, Hendrik, let's start with you.
I haven't had a look at that, but you say Australia are the favourites. No, Argentina will...
Oh, sorry. I mixed up the fixtures, guys. My apologies. Of course, Australia are travelling to South Africa.
Yes,
that was
I was about to say, Brent, there's no ways Australia going to be -7 in Argentina.
No, my mistake. Sorry, guys. Australia, of course, coming to South Africa. I was so excited for the New Zealand-South Africa return. I thought it was the first week there. But it's Australia against South Africa, and they're +8.5 Australia, -8.5 the box.
Yeah, I think, well, before the Rugby Championship started, I really fancied Australia to have a good Rugby Championship, but they have been very disappointing. And I actually targeted this game before the Rugby Championship, and I thought I might go Australia here to beat us, but I can't see Australia keeping it close. I'm going to be on the box at -8.5. I think the box should win by double figures, even with them losing Billy Leroux. I actually thought they would lose Faf as well, but it looks like Faf's going to play. So yeah, I'll be on the box here.
Right, Gavin, yourself, an early call here ahead of your video. You don't have to commit to it at this stage. You're leading box.
Geez, Brent, I got to tell you, never mind -8.5, Henrik. I'm going to be on -28.5. I'm telling you, this one's race over. They can put the result in and pay the punters. Australia won't come within 25 of South Africa next week. I promise you. This is race over. This is maximum. It's super max. You can borrow from your grandmother's pension fund, whatever. This is seriously. Australia will not come close in this game. Not even close.
Okay, that's confidence for you. Hein, will you be borrowing from your grandmother's pension fund?
Definitely not. No. I won't be going that far. I think the problem is the box might be doing what you did there, Brent, and might not be looking at that game and thinking about the All Blacks already. So I'm actually a bit concerned there. I think everyone's worried about the Loftus game and they're not thinking PE. So that's going to be a bit of a problem. And also, you know, as Hendrik was thinking at the start of the tournament, is, you know, I don't think PE holds any danger for the Aussies. There's no high altitude. Obviously, they're a team as Gavin likes to say, they've got more than a wall behind them, like I do. Their backs against something, a cliff or something. But you know, a desperate lion is gonna put up a bit of a fight. So I actually think the Aussies have, if it was over 10 double figures, I might have actually had to go on the Aussies on the handicap there. I think they're gonna claw their way out of something, and especially the first half cap might get my interest there come next week.
I must say, I am leaning towards the Springboks here. I did see a post in the comments there. Peter Paul saying RSA -7.5 at Sunbet. That's a good one. I might put Gavin's granny's pension money on that one, I must say. I do like South Africa a little bit there, but I hear what you're saying, Hein. Everybody perhaps thinking a little bit too far ahead to the New Zealand game. Let's just have a quick look at the other game that's taking place, and that's, of course, going to be then Argentina up against New Zealand in Argentina. And here we've got 16.5. And Hein, starting with you, what do you think of this one?
Again, you know, there could be an overreaction of the previous weekend. Argentina put in a great performance, and New Zealand a rather shoddy one. So I mean, it's a no-brainer on that front. But again, you struggle to see. Maybe Gavin's right there. They're just struggling to give Argentina the respect that they deserve. So I mean, at those odds, you can't do anything else but go for Argentina. I mean, you have to. I think New Zealand would be much better, but still, I mean, that's a lot of points to give Argentina, a team on the high and a team with a lot of confidence, and they're playing fantastic rugby. I've said it early in the week. I think they've got a great combination between running rugby and good old physical rugby. I mean, that's the way we'd like to see the box play. So I think they're playing a great brand, and if you give them that kind of head start, I'll have to take some of that.
Hendrik, will you be joining Hein on that one, do you think, or waiting maybe for the points lines?
Yeah, this is difficult, that one for me, Brent. I think it's well set. I think the All Blacks might be a bit angry after last week, and you can't go against Argentina in Argentina at the moment. They're playing great rugby. I think I'll wait till I see the New Zealand team, if they pick their best team. But yeah, I'm just staying out of the handicap at this moment.
And Gavin, let's finish off with you on the Rugby Championship before we head into the Pro 14.
Yeah, just two things. Hendrik, Brent was asking you what you thought at the top of your head. No need to commit to anything. I may even take my grandmother's money and put it back in the bank and have a 1-unit play. Who knows? We're talking 10 days before the game. But yeah, look, I just want to go back to Hein. I think he's right. You know, you've got to be worried about Australia, whatever. But I got to tell you, I've got to be worried about South Africa, not, you know, thinking about the following week. But I honestly believe that if half a South African team arrive next week in Port Elizabeth to play the Australians are so bad. This bet for me next week is all about bad Australia, not about good South Africa. I can't believe they lost that game in Australia 2 weeks ago. So yeah, when we come to the All Black Argentina game, this 16.5 handicap that we're talking about now is the same handicap we've had for 4 years in a row. Argentina are massive value at this handicap. This is exactly the same handicap we've had every year for 3 or 4 years. They've never been plus 20 something at home. They always sort of 16, 15, 17, 18, I think I've seen. But it's round about that number. I'm definitely going Argentina on that plus. And the big problem for us is if we thump Australia like I think we're going to earlier in the day, New Zealand are then sitting at 16 points on the log. We're sitting at 15. There's a point in it. They're thinking, well, hang on, we better beat Argentina here and win this championship. So they may play a little bit better. So my Argentinian play next week will probably be a provisional, whatever unit it is, and either a press or a cover on Saturday after the South African game. Because remember, we played 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, and I think they played around about midnight.
Well, I've got to say, Gavin, I'm impressed with the homework that's already been done on this game because, you've clearly got some big bets lined up. So looking forward to hearing from you on those. Guys, let's move on to the Pro 14. We've got a host of matches. And starting off first up, that's on Friday night, so tomorrow night, the Cheetahs up against Ulster. And what are we looking at here, guys? About plus 7.5 Cheetahs, plus 9.5 now. I think there was plus 7.5 early in the week. And Hein, we'll start with you there. Any interest?
Yeah, Sunbet still have Ulster at 7.5, and I think Ulster struggled in that first half against the Kings to hit their straps. They were much better in the second half. The big question in these games are, what's the difference between the Cheetahs and the Kings at this stage? And honestly, it can't be that much. They're pretty poor, both of them. So Ulster gave the Kings 20 points, so they should give the Cheetahs 10 points. So 7.5 is that's got my money. Ulster 7.5 definitely for me on that one.
Henrik?
I'm with Hein on that one. Minus 7.5 Ulster. The Cheetahs, they haven't been good. Ulster only arrived in South Africa on Thursday last week, so they didn't have a lot of preparation for the Kings game. They actually travelled via Doha, and I think it's something like a 29-hour trip it was for them. So I think that might have influenced them on Sunday. I'm expecting them to put the Cheetahs away here. I also got under 7.5, and I'll advise anything under 10 to the punters couldn't get.
Right, so they're still 7.5 at Sunbet, and that begs the question, Gavin, have you done your preview of this game yet? And if not, have the boys changed your mind, perhaps?
Brent, I advised for guys that really want to have a bet, probably take the minus here. I did it last week as well with the Cheetahs. The week before. I'm not touching this Cheetahs team until I can see exactly what's going on. I don't want to punt minus Ulster or minus last week on Glasgow, and I don't know. I'm not confident enough to have a go at this. I've watched the games. I didn't watch that first one live. I did watch on the recording. But the Cheetahs are definitely not the Cheetahs of last year. So, the value does lie with Ulster. But I'm not 100% sure what happened last week in that Kings game. Kings were very poor. I think Ulster were just average or okay. And I know I often say that when I've lost a bet. But I really do try and analyse it properly and see where if I lose a bet, especially one that I've had a decent go at, which I did with the Kings, I look at that and I say, well, what did I do? Where did I get this wrong? And, to me, Ulster were just okay. They were average. Just the Kings were just shocking, eh? And this week they've given the Kings a massive handicap, which just, it looks like it's like 10 points too much. Because if the Kings and the Cheetahs played together, for me, this would be a level game this year. Or maybe 5 points, if anything, 5 points either way. But, last week they had, I think it was minus 9.5, and guys like Henrik were all over that Glasgow team. And now suddenly you're giving the Kings 2 more tries than what they'd given the Cheetahs last week against the same team. I don't know. The other thing, which is quite important, Sean Boyer will tell you as he's commenting tonight, they're playing at a very small stadium. They're not playing at the Nelson Mandela Stadium. We saw that last year when they played. It wasn't the Ulster team. It may have been Ulster. No, it wasn't Ulster. Ulster, they played in George. There was another team, I think it was Leinster, they played in that Wilson Zwede Stadium. And it came to about 12 or 13 points or 10 points or whatever it is. Now, a small, tight-knit game, especially in the communities around Port Elizabeth, you're going to get a decent crowd around there. They don't have to check and park and pay for parking going to Nelson Mandela Stadium. This is the kind of game we want, grassroots rugby. We go to the community, and the Kings will play a little bit better if they're a little bit closer to the fans, and they're real fans. They're not season ticket holders and all that sort of stuff. So I'm all over the Kings plus. But for the cheaters, I'd advise, if you really want to have a bet, go minus Ulster, but otherwise I'm not touching it.
Right. Well, I see Sean he gave us some great weather forecasts in that from PE last week. Although I've got to say that game burnt me because I saw the weather was perfect. The ground looked absolutely stunning. So I was all over points. I was high on points. I was high on King's points. And I actually got badly burnt. I'd had a brilliant weekend up to that point. I got badly burnt in that game. And, yeah, let's just say gave a lot more.
Sean didn't just give us a weather report. He gave us a weather report every 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, weather report and a score. I mean, I don't know how he got time to watch the game, but you've got to follow this guy on Twitter. But I've got some good news for Sean because I'm looking at his tweets here, or not his tweets, his comments, and it looks as though Sean fancies the Kings this week. And I got a WhatsApp from Gary. We forgot to talk about it in the last show, but he had said to Sean last week if he opened an account, he would get a special on the Kings. And I think he did open an account. Sean can confirm that. I think he did it at the time. And Gary said, I don't know if he's out with his handicap yet, Sean, but when Gary comes out with his handicap, you can have 12 to 10 the Kings plus if you want it, Sean. So that's a nice bet for you if you are thinking of getting on the Kings. So, Sean, what do you reckon? We'll see what he says there. He's going to take the 12 to 10, but a nice offer there.
He needs to get a Fika account. He needs to find a bill somewhere with his real name on it.
That's going to be a challenge. And let's go on to the other boys and see what they fancy. I must say, the Kings are just not a team, Henrik, that I ever climb all over, to be totally honest with you. Plus 23.5, that does seem quite high. But for me, I was very impressed with Glasgow last week. And I think this could end up being a bit of a thumping.
Yes, Brent. I was impressed with Glasgow, and I'm expecting them to be good again. This is their second game on tour now, and the Kings they have been better. But yeah, I'm not sure about this handicap. If pushed, I would actually go with the plus here, just a small bet. Gavin makes a good point about the small stadium. Not sure whether Glasgow will enjoy that. So if pushed, I will go smalls on the Kings, but this might be a game to have a look at points market. Yeah.
Well, Hein, let me ask you, I'll ask you your opinion on the handicap, but I've got a bit of a theory on the small stadium. And I think by small, we're not talking size of pitch, obviously, but the people around it, there's going to be a nice atmosphere. And is there perhaps more of almost some sort of psychological need to put on a bit of a show? Could we be looking at a lot of points in this one?
Yes. Sorry. Who was that?
Oh, sorry, Henrik. Yeah, I'll bring Hein in here.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think more with a small stadium, it's about the fans being closer, so you get a little bit more of a buzz. It's in a big stadium and there's only 5,000 or 10,000 people there. You don't really hear them. In a small stadium, it's chock-a-block and they're close to the field, and you can hear them chant and hear them support you, and those guys go ballistic. So I think it's more on that front that they can get up for it. And obviously sometimes the big teams, when they come, they're not used to like that kind of class kind of environment. So that's the kind of setup. Just to help Gavin, I think the other one was wrong though. The George game was against Munster. It wasn't against Ulster because it was CJ playing at home. But the Kings hurt me last week on the point. So I'm a bit shy of going for them again. And that was as you said as well. That hurt a bit. And Glasgow impressed. So I actually pushed. I'll be opposite of Heinrich. They've pushed. I'd go for the handicap Glasgow side. But the one I'm looking at is at the small stadium. And after last week's performance, the Kings to just start better. So I'm looking at a halftime handicap there. That'll be my play. If I can get a nice halftime handicap, anything above 10, I'm going to take that and hope they start well. And then the only other thing is I've got Cardiff wrong the last 2 weeks. So the other Pro 14 game I'm liking is Cardiff versus Munster. I think Munster are overrated. I'm going to take Cardiff to this time come up with the goods at 15 to 10 to beat Munster.
Right, and now Henrik, I'll just give you your opportunity to talk on the points there, the small stadium. You got any view on that?
Yeah, I think we should get points if the weather is good. I think, like you say, they try to put on a show. The home team, they will play, and I find that the smaller stadiums, they're normally higher scoring.
Can I ask you a question? I was heavily involved in the Kings points last week. I was heavily involved in the total points. I had my biggest loss of the week. Well, as I say, gave a lot of money back. But while I was losing my money, I was trying to see the glasses half full and not half empty. And while I was losing my money, I was thinking, gee, I hope the bookmakers read too much into this and give me a lower points quote for next week. Do you ever think like that, Henrik, in a game where you're actually taking a beating, but you're actually thinking, okay, I'll take this beating, but then I'm going to come out firing next week and hopefully I'll get a better line?
I think about it like that the whole time, Brent. Every single game. If I lose money, I already think about the next week's game. Like, I'm already looking forward to Loftus because I'm going to be on the All Blacks at Loftus.
He's already looking forward to that one. Quick one, Henrik. What will you be pricing that game? If you were a bookmaker, how would you price up ahead of this weekend's games? Obviously, that could change things. If you were pricing up tomorrow on the Loftus match, what's your handicap?
10.5.
10.5. Obviously, New Zealand favourites. Gavin nodding his head there. Gav, you reckon he's about spot on there?
Well, I expected Henrik to say 10.5. I don't know if he's spot on or not. We remember, we go back, I think, well, that show that you're on Saturday mornings, I'm not sure if you're on it anymore, but I remember you sitting there with that Terry Payne, I think he is, the English football guy. And they asked him the one day, they said, he said, what's the betting? And they said, it's 8 to 10 South Africa, it's even money New Zealand. He goes, even money New Zealand? Well, obviously I'm going to take that. And they said, why? They said, South Africa's doing so well. He says, geez, you get even money on New Zealand, you got to take it. So, yeah. and that particular year they won. So he was the smiles the following week. I think right now the right handicap is probably around about 7 or 8. I wouldn't be surprised if some people came out with 10. Henrik's probably right. I don't know if I'd take too much of anything plus under 6.5. But yeah, look, if we thump Australia like I think, and Argentina take New Zealand close, it could be a level game, and Oaks like Henrik are going to be borrowing from the grandmother's pension fund.
Yeah, hopefully not to pay the bookmakers afterwards. So when it comes time for settling on Monday. Gavin, anything else on the Pro 14 that catches the eye?
Yeah, I noticed that Hahn picked 2 games here, the Ulster game and the Cardiff game. The other one I didn't. Yeah, it's a Cardiff against Munster. I like Cardiff, but I'm not having a bet. Connaught against Scarlet, so I also sort of like Connaught, but I'm not having a bet. For me, I've picked 4 games in Pro 14 to have a go here. I've gone a decent strike on Kings plus 24.5. I've also taken Zebre to win the game at 18 to 10. They're away against the Dragons. That Dragons team looks like absolute rubbish. I mean, they barely held on against the Kings. Benetton Plus looked a little decent, and the other one was Edinburgh. The reason for Edinburgh was just too much. I think 16.5 for a team that's a decent Pro 14 team, not a struggler like Zebre or Benetton or Cheetahs or Kings. This is a Scottish team getting a 16.5 point start against an Irish team. I don't know. They played 2 Irish teams already. They did okay. Yeah, I'm not very strong on either of them. Just the Kings I like and Zebre on the board. That's all.
Right, and Henrik, let me come to you. Anything else on the Pro 14? But if not, take us into the Mitre 10 Cup, because you'll be making quite a bit of money on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Brent, firstly on the Pro 14, my biggest bet on the Pro 14 is also like Gavin, you like Zebre. I'm also on Zebre. I took Zebre plus 6.5 at 19 to 20 on Monday. I took them at 5 to 2 to win the game, and I actually took them to win by 14 or more at 25 to 1. So I like Zebre to win. Dragons have been rubbish. So yeah, the Zebra they've been all right. So I like Zebre to win. Then the Mitre 10 Cup, like you said, I've made a bit of money on the Mitre 10 Cup. I lost yesterday. I lost some money on what was it? I actually can't remember. I remember the way.
You often can't remember where you lost your money.
Henrik, the Makos or the Steelers or the Turbos.
It was Tasman. It was the Marcos. I had them at minus 12.5, and they won by 10, I think. But tomorrow morning, I like Waikato to win away at Bay of Plenty. I was lining up Bay of Plenty here, but Delaney's not playing, and he's running the show for them. So I took Waikato 12 to 10 to win tomorrow. And then on Saturday, Auckland, they're playing against Taranaki at Taranaki. Auckland, they've been the form team. And I've taken Auckland minus 5.5.
Right, and Henrik, if I had to narrow down your best bet of the weekend, then looking across all forms of rugby?
Western Province minus 12.5, first half handicap. It's sitting at 13.5. You can take that as well. I think that's the best bet this month.
Best bet this month. Okay, well, I like the sounds of that optimism, Han. Anything else you fancy on the card? And finish off with your best bet, please.
Just in the English Premiership, I haven't watched a lot of it, but Northampton against Bath, I was impressed with what I saw from Northampton last weekend. So I'm going to take the Saints there at plus 7.5 against Bath. I think that sounds a bit much to me, so I'll get on that. And then one of my best plays is probably Ulster -7.5. I quite like that one. And then yes, obviously the province game is going to get my attention, as Hendrik says, that first half cap and Ruan Nel or someone to score a few. So that's where my big plays are going to be.
Right, Gavin. Anything else on the European card or anything in the Mitre 10 Cup? Or...
They play rugby in New Zealand and Europe. I didn't know that at this time of the year.
What's your best bet then? You going?
Yeah, I had a small go at that New Zealand Cup last year, that Mitre 10 Cup, but it requires a lot of work. I'm sure Henrik. It looks like you see a guy like Henrik on the screen, and he belts out these nicknames and these bets, and you think, yeah, he probably just sucked it out of his thumb, but there's no ways. I act like Henrik. I promise you, he's working hard on this. He's doing a lot of studying. He's watching a lot of games. I just don't have the time for it. So, you've got to follow a guy like that. He knows what he's talking about. He's clearly in the game. With regards to Europe, I don't watch much of that European rugby. I honestly don't. So I'm no good at tipping that. This weekend, honestly, Brent, my biggest bets are the Lions to win the game, just because of the price in that particular one. The Kings plus Zebra on the board, and I've taken Western Province at -35.5. So I've gone a little bit more bullish. I just wanted to say, Henrik, I got to say, at -12.5 or -13.5 halftime, it looks like they've made a bit of a maths error. For me, it should be something like closer to 50% of the handicap. So that sounds like the Monday price rather than the today price. Sorry, I haven't looked. So I have to agree with him. If you're getting -12.5 or -13.5 halftime Western Province, you got to jump all over that. It sounds like massive value. But yeah, there's nothing that I'm going full on for this weekend, Brent.
Right. Well, I must say, you said you weren't a Monday or Tuesday punter. I think after we heard Hendrik tonight, he's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and probably a punter as well.
That's right.
Thanks very much for joining me on the Handicap, a rugby chat that matters. It was great talking to you. Stay tuned or find the new link, because Chris and I are going to be talking about English Premier League and PSL football, and that starts at 10 o'clock in around 25 minutes' time. You can subscribe to the videos just by clicking the link down below this video. And share it. Let your mates know about the show. We want to grow it as much as possible. Thanks very much to the guests who did join me tonight. Have a good punting weekend, lads. And to all the guys on the comments, Ruan, Sean, Peter, Paul, Chris Sturdy, who's popped on now as well. Great to have you guys on board. And look forward to catching you on next week's Handicap show. Thanks, everyone.